Hello, everybody. This is Sree from BizBuzz. What matters the most in your business? Sponsored by My Work Belt. My Work Belt is a all-in-one software, particularly catering to service-based small businesses. If you have not checked it out, check it out, myworkbelt.com. And today we have guest Craig Andrews. Craig Andrews is a principal ally at alliesforme.com. They are the masters in marketing services, especially for those who are trying to promote high ticket, high price service items. Craig, how are you doing today?
Sree, I'm doing wonderfully. It's humid here in Texas, which this is weird. Normally Texas is hot, but it's dry. Other than that, I'm doing great. I wish it was a little bit drier. I'm okay with the heat.
There's a little bit of heat wave going on. But now, speaking of the heat wave, we talk about small businesses environment and discussions and within the organizations, right? Now, the heat grows generally within the discussions of small business. It also happens in the large corporations, but our focus is small business. Heat
Yeah.
grows in the discussions when somebody disagree with each other. Now, we were talking about it. Now, let us look at it in a different perspective. And tell me, how do we look at it in a different perspective? How do we take it to not increasing the heat in the discussions and group dialogues in the small business when somebody
You know,
disagrees?
it's a big problem from many angles. And I run into it when I hire a new employee. When
Right?
I hire a new employee, it takes me a while to get them to tell me what they really think.
Correct? Because they
Because
wanted to test the waters and they want to make sure they are fitting in the culture before they say, no, that's not right or whatnot.
Yeah. And, unfortunately, I mean, I've had some people that work for me that over time they realize what I really value the most is their opinion. I don't care if they disagree with me. As a matter of fact, I was recording a podcast recently, and my guest said something. Well, I said something, and then my guest said, "Well, I completely disagree with that." And I leaned forward and I said, I said, cool. Tell me what you think. Because that's the moment where learning begins.
Right.
And it doesn't mean when he was done talking, doesn't mean I totally agree with him, but it's a opportunity for me to see the world through a different lens.
That's correct.
It- Steve Jobs, who was a tough guy to work for, he was a really tough guy to work for.
Hmm.
But Steve Jobs would always say, I don't hire people uh, to
Who
do what
agrees?
I say, who agree. He said, we work very hard to hire people who are the absolute best at what they do. We want them to disagree.
Yes.
And now I will say, if you walked into a meeting and you were disagreeing with Steve Jobs, you better have your crap in order.
Of
Um,
course, indeed. Of course, indeed, right?
but as an example, the original iPhone was not going to have a SIM card.
Yeah,
And Johnny Ive, the design lead, and Steve Jobs had lunch every single day. Johnny was like Steve's best friend at Apple.
right.
And both of them thought the SIM slot was ugly. And
Hmm.
so they just declared that there would be no SIM slot in the iPhone. The
Yes.
rest of the team knew that was a horrible mistake.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they went off and they gathered their data and they made a map of the world.
Hmm.
And they actually made two maps of the world. One map was all the places they could sell an iPhone without a SIM slot.
Yeah,
The other map was a all the places in the world where they could sell an iPhone with a SIM
with a
slot.
SIM slot.
And Steve said, "All right, we're putting the SIM slot back in." So Steve Jobs could be persuaded. You had to come prepared. But that's actually amazing because Steve Jobs would fire people like that.
Yes. But in this,
But he's
that is telling me, see, most of the small business leadership team, particularly owners, they can be difficult to convince,
yes.
right? Now, how do we put this culture in place First of all, for the team members in small business environment to disagree with the owner is more or less their job is online.
And I'm going to put the responsibility on the owner because just accept it. People are coming in thinking that if they disagree with you, it's going to hurt their career, at
Right.
least while they're with you. And so you have to work twice as hard to help them understand you didn't hire them for them to agree with you. You hired them because they were bringing their unique perspective. They were bringing something you didn't have to help make
Right.
the business better. And I my first job out of college was working for Ericsson, which is a big, Swedish tech firm. And we had this guy named Mats Lindoff who was running our division in North Carolina. And he would tell people to do something, they'd go off and do it. And he's like, "Why did you do that?" And they said, "You told me." He's like, "Well, it was a dumb idea. Why didn't you argue?" "Well, because you told me." So he
That's
actually
right.
made a hat. He made a hat that he would turn around. On one side, it would say, "Do what I say." On the other side, it would say, "Argue with me."
Yes, yes.
And so I thought that was genius. What he did was, when he originally was throwing out an idea and he was hoping somebody would challenge it. And so, here's an idea you can rip off from the Swede that I used to work for. When you're sitting down, you're working with your team and you're trying to find out the direction, go make a hat, go spend the 20 bucks or whatever to have a hat and have across the top embroidered, argue with me. And
Uh-huh.
when you're sitting in that meeting and you want people to argue with you, wear that hat. Then when
That's
you're
actually
ready,
a very interesting, simple idea, yet it is very powerful. Not to
yes,
stir the political pot here, but the MAGA hat has become the talk of the country, right?
yes,
So even though it is a simple hat, but it can bring in a power to the small messages.
yes,
So what you're suggesting here is, yeah, well, one of the thing is, yes, you can have a hat with a message that argue with me, or you can write it on the board in the conference room that argument is healthy, all those things. But we also have to remember that when two people are arguing, naturally emotion kicks in,
yeah.
right? Now, how do you filter, or how do you filter the argument from the emotion? Because they both come together 9 out of 10 times,
Well, and I'm going to put that again on the leadership. You
right?
know, you're the leader, you started your business. Guess what? There's things that go with that. And one of the things that goes with it is you need to lead your people. And
Indeed.
so like you said, like your idea, put on the board, argue with me. You need to be clear when you're saying, okay, we're done, the argument's over. You go up and you cross it out saying, okay, the argument's over, here's what we're going to go do. But when the argument gets passionate, so I'm going to go back a few days. I was just a few days ago, I was over at my grandkids' house. I
Yes.
had four grandkids that were trying to tackle me. We were wrestling. I literally have four grandkids that are hanging on to me. They're trying to take me down and
Yes.
trying to tackle me and trying to steal something out of my hands.
Yes.
And one of them got hurt.
Uh-oh.
And he came back and he was really angry and he actually started punching me. And my wife is watching. She's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, what's going on? And so I sat down with him and I said, hey, what are you up? You got hurt. I said, when this happened, and I knew what happened. I said, when this happened, I said, it hurt you, didn't you? Didn't it? And he said, yeah. So do you think I intended to hurt you? And he's like, no. I was like, okay. I said, there's a couple times you hurt me. Um, Here's the thing, when you wrestle, you're going to get hurt. If you
You're
play
gonna get hurt.
football, you're going to
You're
get
gonna get hurt.
hurt. Here's how you respond to this. And so when we look at it from the perspective of a grandfather or a parent talking to a child,
Yeah.
we know it's our job to mentor them, to
Correct.
coach them through this.
That is correct.
If you started your own business and you didn't expect to be a leader, You're dumb. Yeah, you have the same job. It's your job to coach your team.
To coach your
They're
team.
for leadership.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct. Now, there is another counter argument. I may be devil's advocate here, right? There's a lot of people say, hey, I am hiring you for doing the job. Why are you doing this? And if you expect me to coach you, lead you, then I don't need you. That's the argument coming from the business owners, right? How would you counter that?
Yeah, here's how I would counter that. People have skills that they're trying to develop.
Right?
Um, if you're the owner, you're the leader.
Yes.
That's just the way it is.
Right.
And part of leadership is coaching.
In
And
yes.
one thing I love to say is Michael Jordan did not have a single coach.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Jordan had a team of coaches.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Yes.
one of the best athletes that we've ever had in my lifetime.
Correct.
But even he needed a coach.
Correct.
And so, most likely, you don't have somebody of the caliber of Michael Jordan in
Mm-hmm.
their field working for your organization.
All right.
You know, so you definitely need to coach them. If you did have the Michael Jordan of whatever your industry was, if you had the Michael Jordan of MSPs, your job is to coach them in doing their business. That just goes with the turf. If you're a leader, you are not going to succeed based on what you do. You're going to succeed based on what you enable others to
Others
do.
do. That is a very powerful statement that you made right there. So, as a leader of a small business, you're not going to succeed by what you do. You're going to succeed by what others can do and how you empower them to do more and better what they came in,
Yes.
right? So, taking those into consideration, what the points you're describing, one is that it's healthy to have arguments. It's
Yes.
healthy to disagree. So business owners have to accept it and allow their team members to argue. Now, certainly you have to let the team know that when you're doing an argument, you better be having your data together before you make that statement. Don't make the statements in emotion. Don't do arguments with emotion, right? That is going to become a healthy conversation opposed to argument and trying to slit each other's throats, right? Now, same thing, what you're suggesting here is the business owners have responsibility and obligation to coach their team. Why? Because the very success of organization goes by what the others can do and by empowerment, what they can grow to is where the organization grow. Am I
Yes.
summarizing it right?
No, and that's great. And again, the only thing I would add to that is just like in a basketball game, there are
Yes.
things you can do and there are things you can't do.
Yes.
Um, you know, if you need to set boundaries, you can't let people do personal attacks against others. It
Exactly.
it needs to be about the battle of the ideas and the best idea wins.
That's right.
And you need to create an environment where people are being respectful. If people kind of like my grandson when he started punching, whoa, 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 that's not how we resolve these things.
That's right.
Uh, the and so, but yes, no, I think you summarized it greatly.
Excellent, excellent. So those who are listening to these ideas, and I hope you are taking these ideas and implementing in your organization. However small, these ideas can make a positive impact in your organization towards the growth. That will be greatly helpful. And a small comment in that your experience and how you use it or how you approach it on these ideas, that will be greatly helpful. If you have not subscribed already, I highly encourage you to subscribe to our channel and like the video that you're watching and share it along with everybody. And those who are listening, thank you very much. Those who are going to take these ideas into putting in practice, thank you very much already. So until next episode, see you all and have a good day.